and hopefully it works out well. Okay, so we're going to start a brand new project to do arrays. Matthew is rearranging furniture over there. I know, but it's just kind of funny to observe from over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start a new project. Okay, and we're going to just call this array, 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 and let's call it practice. Okay, because there are a few things that happen with arrays. So if you're working with me, we're taking a little bit of a side trip, right? Take a little side trip, pit stop, and we're going to work a little bit with arrays. Okay, so we're going to call this project array practice. Okay, and create. So what exactly is this thing called an array? An array is also sometimes called a list, and it's a container. It's a kind of variable, but this kind of container holds multiple items, right? So for variables that are numbers, variables that are strings or text, we know that they can only hold one thing at a time. Well, an array can hold lots of things at a time. And an array can hold any kind of variable, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and start by setting up an array. Okay, so we're going to go to advanced, and we're going to look for the orange section called arrays. And when we click on this, what we're going to see is at the tippy top, we have the opportunity to create something, set list or set text list. So just like before, we set the variable to be something, or we set a sprite to set my sprite to, or we set text to be something. We're going to set a list to something. Okay, so this is going to be cool. Well, let's go ahead and we're going to experiment with two things. Okay, let's go ahead and pull the first one out. So set list to array of, okay, and then we start with 2 items in here. Okay, 2 items. So what kind of array is this? What kind of variable or what kind of information is it holding, just based on what we have in there so far? What does it look like? 0 and 1 are their numbers, right? So this is an array or a variable that's holding numbers. Okay, now the way that arrays work are you can have unlimited spots in there. So notice if I hit the plus sign, it's going to open another one and another one and another one. I'm going to go ahead and put 2, 3, and 4 in those spots. So you should have set list to array of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And hopefully everybody has that. Okay. So now the thing about arrays, which is why it's numbered like this, is arrays. Okay. The way that you identify what's in that space, it starts with 0. So that's why the array is starting with 0. So that first spot that's holding 0, that is spot 0. Spot 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let's figure out how we get what's stored in the array. It's kind of like, what is it like? It's a value, right? So it's kind of like a row of mailboxes. Everybody has their own address, and that's how the post person knows to put the mail there. Okay, so there's a value in 0, there's a value in 1, there's a value in 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up a sprite, like just a sprite, so that we know, okay, I feel good that I set up this array. I want the sprite to say what's in it, right? Like we've done before. Okay, so let's grab a sprite. Under sprites, we're going to say set my sprite to. And we're going to choose anything from the gallery or something if you want to make your own. Today, I think I will choose a duck. I keep seeing ducks come up in everybody else's work. So I'll choose the duck. So I've set up my array. I have set a sprite. And now I want this. Well, how do I get the sprite to help me out? I like saying Sprite, my Sprite say, which is under effects. I see you. Okay, so right now, whatever I put there, it's going to just say smiley face. So let me pause for a second. So now what I want to say is I want the Sprite to say something that's in this array. Okay, so I'm going to go back to arrays. And what I want is I want to read the array. I want to look at what's inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the second block where it says list get value at. Okay, get value at 0. So it's saying 0. Now, that doesn't seem like it's very impressive because like, all right, well, what if it's just saying what it's saying? Let's go ahead and put a bunch of crazy numbers in that array. So change what's in the array from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to just do some crazy numbers. And by the way, you can tab to move from spot to spot. Okay, and 4. Okay, so now let's get the Sprite to say value at 0. Okay, so it's saying, okay, go ahead and get the value that's sitting in spot 0 of this array. Okay, let's change it. Let's go to spot, I don't know, 3. Okay, remember arrays start counting by 0. So 3 is going to be which spot? Your 4th spot. Okay, if I wanted to get to the second item in the array, what value would that be? Which is the number? What place would it be? Would be, I started something new, Matthew. I don't know if you're working with me today. Okay, you're just watching? Okay, that would be spot 1 if we wanted the second item. So I'm going to put spot 1 in there and I'm going to check that out. Okay, so an array contains multiple items of the same type, and they are numbered starting with the number 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this out again. Okay, let's pull out set list with the numbers. Okay, let's grab another array. Okay, so this time we're going to create set text list to array of. Okay, and maybe what you'll do here is instead of A, B, C, so notice this is a string. Okay, maybe put the members of your family in here or your siblings. Okay, so I'm going to say me, Kathy. I'll put my siblings, May and Olivia. Okay, set text list to array of Kathy, May, and Olivia. Okay, and then I want to test it out. Let's see how this works. Set my Sprite to Sprite of Ducky. And then what I want my Sprite to say is instead of the list, because it's not going to find anything called list, since that block is inactive and not in on start, I need to look at text list. Okay, who is going to be in value 1 for my text list? It's May. Okay, if I want me, I'm going to ask for 0. And if I want Olivia, I'm going to ask for 2. Okay, so those are sprites. Okay, I'm sorry, that's text in an array. Let's do one more. Okay, so this time it's going to be a little bit tricky. Okay, a little trickier. We're going to go back to arrays. Okay, I'm going to choose the first block that says set list. Okay, I'm going to rename this. Oh, make a new variable. Sorry, I'm going to make a new variable. And I'm going to call this Sprite List. Okay, Sprite List. Okay, so this array is going to consist of sprites, and I'm going to cross my fingers. Crossing my fingers because it worked and then it didn't work. Okay, so this time, like if we look at array of, those are numbers. They are not sprites. So we have to do something special to make sure that the variable knows that there are going to be images in here. Okay, so just like with telling the computer that a variable is going to be a string, I'm going to go to images, and in create, there's going to be a the first block just looks like a blank square. I'm going to grab that and I'm going to drag it into array into the spot that matches 0. Okay, when I do that, what you'll see is that if I click on the gray box, it's going to open up the editor, just like we're used to with sprites. And I'm going to just choose a hamburger from the gallery. Okay, so far the Sprite list has a hamburger, and then I'm going to do the same thing so I can add another item or another object into here. So I'm going to go to images. I'm going to grab the blank box from right under create. I'm going to drag that in spot 1. And then I will go to the gallery. I'll click on the gray box. I'll go to the gallery, and this time I will pick a taco. Okay, because someone in this room loves tacos. Or wait, I should say everyone in the room loves tacos. Or should. Matthew, you should be loving tacos. Okay, and then we'll add one more. So just like with the numbers and the strings, let's hit the plus. Let's go back to images. Let's grab a blank image block. Drag that into the third space. And this time I will pick a ham. Okay, ham, and then done. You could pick whichever you want. All right. So now, the thing to keep in mind is that an array, whatever is in the array, everything in there has to be the same. So you can't be like burger Sprite, sister's name, and the number. That's not going to work. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's say my Sprite, this time what I want to do is I want to set my Sprite. Oh my goodness. And this is the thing that didn't quite work. So here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a set my Sprite 2, set my Sprite 2. I have my fingers so crossed. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to go to the arrays. I'm going to go to read array. And the second item, which is, it says list get value at 0. I'm going to throw that into the blank spot for Sprite. And instead of list, I'm going to change it to Sprite List. And I have my fingers crossed, and I hope that the burger is going to show up in the middle. And it did, thank goodness. I think it's because I had my fingers crossed. So let's go ahead and test that. I want to get the ham. So I know that arrays start with 0. So if I count 0, 1, 2, ham should be at 2. I'm crossing my fingers. There we go. Ham is at 2. And now if I want to get the taco, my taco is at 1. I'm testing it out. Here we go. Okay. So let's see if we can get all of this to work. Ready? So now I am going to drag the list of numbers and the list of names back into on start. I'm going to put those right above the Sprite list. Okay. And then I'm going to set my Sprite 2 to be that number 1. And then I'm going to test this out. I'm going to pull my Sprite say. Okay, hold on. Oh, let's get a different one. Let's get a different one. Let's go back to my Sprites. Let's go to my Sprite say. We're going to change my Sprite to my Sprite 2. Okay, because that's the variable that's set up here. Okay, so my Sprite 2 is saying, woohoo! Smiley face. Okay, and then what I want to do is I want to go to text this time. Okay, so text. I'm going to say, I want join. Oh my goodness, look at how we're going to make this very complex. Join. Oh, I'm so excited. So right now it's saying join hello world. Okay. But I want to grab something out of the array, right? So I'm going to say, oh, here it is. So see in the, I'm gonna grab, go back to arrays. I'm going to go under read and get value at list, get value at 0. But instead of, oh yes, I do want that. List, get value at 0. And then I'm going to go back to arrays and I'm going to say list, get value at 0. Oh, not list, text list. I'm going to change it to text list. Okay, so what you should see is the sprite. Let's make it all 0. Sprite is getting value at 0, which is a hamburger, right? So it's showing that picture. And then that sprite is saying 121, which was my crazy number, in value 0. And it's saying the sibling value at value 0. Okay. That's kind of cool, I think. Okay, you can change this up and say, all right, I want this to be this number. Or why don't we make this make more sense? Instead of your sibling names, go ahead and put the name of the food that you put there, right? Or whatever the sprites are. Okay, so I'll call this burger, taco, and ham. Okay, so that's my text list. And then notice too for join, right? So join, so far we have 2 things. There's a plus at the end of it. So we can still say this, add more things. So I'm going to say join list. What do I want to say? Here are, maybe I'll say here are space list, the number. I'm going to use one of those spots for a space. And then I'm going to use the other one for burgers. And I want one more, and I'm going to put an exclamation point there. Here are 556 burgers. Okay, notice that when you have like more than 5 or more join items in the join, it's going to be vertical instead of horizontal. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute or so to play with that. Okay, add some different, different numbers, different texts or different sprites, and see if you can get them to show up on the screen. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. Okay, so Brendan came up with something cool. He thought, I don't want to have to change this number in the get value each time. So he remembered that there is under math something called random. Okay, so kind of towards the second, last third of the math blocks, there's something called PickRandom. Okay, so if you say PickRandom, and you toss that where the 0 or where the at after the at space is, and you say, okay, Sprite List, PickRandom, Sprite List, there are 3 items. So this would be PickRandom 0 to 2. Okay, and then I'm going to use PickRandom again. List has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 0 to 4. And then I'm going to duplicate this again. And then I have a text list. Okay, and the text list is 0 to 1, 2, 3. So 3 items, it's going to be 1 less than that. Oh my goodness, here are 1 million, burgers. That is not correct. So that's almost like Mad Libby, yes? But not quite. It's very random and very silly. Okay, but that's good. Let's pause. And we have to refresh each time. Like one of the things we can do is in game, there's on game update every so often. So let's say every 2 seconds, we grab, we take these two things out. So let's use the on start to set up the arrays, and then we'll use this game update to come up with the silly combinations. So every 2 seconds, here are 999 tacos. Here are 121 tacos. Oh, it keeps saying it. It keeps saying that's a lot of time. That's quick. Here are 999 ham. Okay, every 5 seconds. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay. Oh, it still wants to hang out there. So that's something I have to figure. All right. Ooh, I can't wait to read about that. Matthew, what's up? Oh, wait, let me hit pause. So we're not watching.